It is a good day to be a Texas Longhorn, ladies and gentlemen. Xavier Worthy comes out. He sets the official NFL Combine record with a 4.21 40-yard dash. Not only does Xavier Worthy show up, we have Adonai Mitchell out there looking great. Pretty much all of the wide receivers in this rookie class across the board put on a show. I mean, I think that you can be so damn excited about what we now have in rookie drafts, particularly at the wide receiver position. Now, a couple running backs shat the bed, right? I mean, it was kind of expected. Nobody likes the running backs. We made the videos earlier last week showing that in fantasy drafts right now, rookie wide receivers are more expensive than they've ever been, and rookie running backs are cheaper than they've ever been. This combine kind of shows us that it is deserved, but I am excited to go ahead, dive into an updated Dynasty rookie mock draft and get a sense of how we can possibly expect draft boards to look right now. Now, of course, this is just going to be a live mock draft. We maybe actually get into two of these. We'll see how the first one goes. This is going to be a super flex mock draft. I'm going to be updating my own rankings on flockfantasy.com. Tonight, I'm going to dive into all the numbers. I'll probably put out an in-depth breakdown on flockfantasy.com tonight as well with the updates and the players that are actually moving. And then, of course, we'll be making videos all throughout the week. So, one, subscribe if you play Dynasty. And two, if you've been watching this channel for a while and you're not already a member of the Flock, don't know what you're waiting for, flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK will get you 30% off of a subscription. Yours truly will break down your Dynasty Fantasy Football team in a podcast and come up with an exact rookie draft strategy plan for you. And also, you can get access to all the Dynasty rankings of your favorite creators. Get access to our Dynasty Trade Calculator, our Dynasty Trade Finder, the whole 9 yard. You know where to find it. Link in the comment section and description. But let's go ahead. Let's start this. I may pause this a couple different times as we go through here. At one, nothing changes, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what happened today. It doesn't matter if Xavier Worthy went out there and ran a 3.99. I mean, we're going to go ahead. We are going to be taking Caleb Williams here at one. I mean, I think that it's an easy selection to make, and I don't necessarily want this to be just about my opinion on what happened with the NFL Combine and how that's going to be impacting what we see in this draft. So that's why I decided to go pick one. Y'all are going to hear about my opinion over and over and over again over the next week. I want to see what y'all have to say here. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes at 2. I know it's frustrating we don't get anything from Harrison today, and trust me, I wish that we did. It's understandable. If I'm Marvin Harrison Jr., what am I showing up for, right? I mean, you're already penciled in to essentially go to the Arizona Cardinals at 4. Really, the best thing you can do is come show up and maybe go to the New England Patriots at 3. So he's saying, I'm making the same amount of money regardless. I can really only hurt my draft stock. I don't need to show up. You have Drake May going here. This is something I want to talk about real quick. Can I pause this? Please do not make another selection after here if we can help it. So I know that Jaden Daniels doesn't show up to essentially get weighed today. It's very weird. I don't really know if we've ever seen this before. I do think that I'm going to go ahead. I think that we're going to use this as a slight tiebreaker. And I think I'll probably be putting Drake May ahead of Jaden Daniels in our rankings as of now. Now, if Jaden Daniels goes ahead of Drake May in the NFL draft, considering Jaden Daniels' rushing upside, of course, I'm going to go ahead and take him. But I do want an NFL scouting department to sign off on that call and take Daniels ahead of May before we have to. And going over to Neighbors with him not testing, I mean, it's frustrating like Harrison. I'd say maybe Neighbors had a little bit more to improve. It's not like he's a penciled-in top 5 pick as you do have with Harrison. So it's a little interesting. Jaden Daniels at 5, obviously a phenomenal player. The top 5 remains the same. I'd say the top 7 remains the same. Rome comes in at 6. Rome has himself a day, completely fine. And really, Brian Thomas at 7. Now that is interesting, and that mixes things up. Now, Brian Thomas looked phenomenal today. He had the size. I mean, I can pull up the exact numbers for y'all. I mean, it's going to be tough with this going so fast. Of course, I'm going to be diving in a little bit deeper here with videos as well. But let me pause this. I am very sorry, everybody. I know this is going to take a little bit longer than usual. But yeah, let me pull up the official testing numbers that you have for Brian Thomas. And Brian Thomas just looks like a bona fide stud in terms of what he was doing. Now, I know one thing that we'll talk about when we get to Xavier Worthy in just 1 second. But anyway, if we are looking at Brian Thomas Jr., he ran a 4.33 at 209 pounds. The second fastest wide receiver here. I mean, I'm seeing the hype on Twitter right now. Barstool LSU says, so you're telling me Brian Thomas had the fastest combine 40 time of receivers who can actually catch, easily a top 10 pick. I mean, some people saying he stumbled out of the gate and still got a 4.34. I understand the hype where it's coming from Brian Thomas Jr., and he was already kind of penciled in to be like the 108 after Brock Bowers. I still probably go Bowers over Thomas, but I agree that I think you can go ahead and you can take Thomas there now. Brock Bowers 108, just phenomenal value. I'd take Bowers there any chance that we get. I think that's an absolute no-brainer. Now, Cowboy Eric on the clock. Let's see what he decides to do. Hopefully we did not mess him up when we decided to pause it, but let's see. Troy Franklin. It says he's on sleeper. It doesn't say it's an auto, so hopefully that is true. Obviously, Franklin was completely fine today as well. I mean, everybody assumed that Franklin was going to have a great day, so nothing really changes there. Adonai Mitchell goes at 10. Now, Adonai Mitchell is someone that I do want to talk about a little more in depth here. If you are looking at Adonai, I do want to stand by the fact that I'm still not in love with him. This is a wide receiver that was dead last this past year in yards per route run. This is a wide receiver that was at the very bottom of this draft class in terms of his targets per route run and in terms of his yards per team pass attempt. All the metrics are kind of against Adonai, but he was that deep threat at Texas. And what we said coming into the NFL Combine was his testing mattered a lot more than than some of these other receivers, because you didn't want him to be James Washington. If y'all remember back in like the 2018 draft class, another Big 12 wide receiver coming out and being that deep threat in college and then getting to the NFL Combine and not lining it up with the speed. But since Adonai Mitchell was used as that deep threat at Texas, what I really wanted to see was him having the speed at the NFL Combine more so than other wide receivers. He had it. He looked great. I know a lot of people were excited about his gauntlet. And yeah, it looks like he's probably penciled in to be a round one NFL draft pick. And then going over with Xavier Worthy, let me talk about Worthy as well. You know I got to talk about my Longhorns. The 40-yard dash is not something that is a mark of wide receiver talent, where the faster the wide receiver runs, the better he will be in the NFL or the better he will be in fantasy. There have been a million different things to prove that that's not the case, and we will dive into that a little bit deeper. I'm going to make a dedicated Xavier Worthy video this week. We'll give you a deep dive. But why I think Xavier Worthy has to be a riser, regardless of if the 40-yard dash, correlates to wide receiver success at the NFL level, is based off what he just did with the 40-yard dash. He is most likely a round one NFL draft pick. We see time and time again, whether it's John Ross, whether it's Henry Ruggs, these wide receivers that come out of school that put up top-end speed and look ridiculous, teams will value their athleticism more than it will maybe be valued in fantasy, because they have the ability to stretch NFL defenses, keep two safeties back, and be the deep threat for an NFL team, which matters so damn much. So with that being said, if Xavier Worthy is a round one NFL draft pick safely, he's someone that has to rise in Dynasty. Like we said, we will give you a more deep breakdown on Xavier Worthy. But let's see, Bailey on the clock. The next player that had a massive combine day, is still there. We'll talk about him in just 1 second. But JJ McCarthy goes. So McCarthy was going to be my pick. I was really hoping he was going to fall. Trey Benson looked phenomenal. Now, if I take Trey Benson, I feel like we are just falling for the NFL Combine, right? Benson comes out, weighs 216 pounds. He has the size to be a three-down player. Broad jump looks good. He runs a 4.38. I'm going to go ahead, take Trey Benson. I think that you can make an argument for Jonathan Brooks, hook 'em horns. Obviously, we not get to see Jonathan Brooks. And honestly, when it's all said and done at the end of the day, I'm probably still going to have Jonathan Brooks as my running back one. I just want to have some fun. Let's overreact with what we saw with the NFL Combine. Let me give a shout out to Trey Benson, who had himself one hell of a day here. And I think that you can be excited about what you just saw. Okay. Now, Keon Coleman goes at the beginning of the second. Now, with Coleman, 40-yard dash does not look good, but the man jumps out of the room. So, even though if you are looking at his 40 and you see that it falls in line with a lot of former NFL busts, yada, 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 And I know he was sold to be some elite level athlete, and that's why a lot of people are super excited about Keon Coleman. I mean, his RAS score is still up over 8. Similar to Adonai Mitchell with Keon Coleman, I wasn't necessarily a big fan, just given what you were looking at with his yards per route run, what you were looking at with pretty much all his advanced metrics. But people were saying, oh, you can overlook him because he's going to be an elite level athlete. Come to find out, I mean, he runs slower than a 4.60. But with that being said, he has some other very impressive marks. We made the in-depth video breaking down what matters at the NFL Combine earlier this week for wide receiver and running back. And keep in mind, the broad jump and vertical mattered for wide receiver where it did not previously for RB. Okay. But let's skew this over. And let me pull up the live chat. I'm sorry that we were not able to pull this up. Y'all know we had the debacle previously where we tried to stream with no microphone, which is just the most embarrassing thing you could ever do. But okay. We got Ruben calling Xavier to the Chiefs. Adam says official 4-3-3 for Brian Thomas. Aaron says Keon Coleman about to drop even further when he's been with that for. Yeah, the thing with Keon is like he was sold to be the elite level athlete, right? So to see that happen is just extremely tough. Now, Ladd finally goes 207. I think you'd be excited about both Bo Nix and Ladd if you're looking at the value that you get here. I mean, I think you make a strong argument to take Ladd pretty much over anybody here in the second round. I think you make a strong argument to take Jonathan Brooks over everybody in the second round. Xavier Legette over Ladd is very interesting. Now, the Notre Dame running back, Audric, who runs a 4.72. I just have no interest in a running back who runs a 4.72. I mean, I'll make a video breaking down the in-depth numbers behind this. But as it stands right now, I am just probably crossing him off my board, at least if he's going to be going here, like next to Malachi Corley and before Michael Penix. I think we may go Devontae Walker. Actually, no, we're going to go Blake. Let me pull up this again. He's fast enough. Obviously, wasn't sold as some elite level athlete. Wasn't supposed to be some top end athlete. You essentially take him, send it up a prayer that the Los Angeles Chargers bring him in, but I don't know. Maybe we go Walker. Daniel Jeremiah is extremely high on Walker. Walker looked fine today. I don't know. I think Blake, at least in my mind, I have him penciled in to be a top 5 running back in this class currently. But okay. Matt says, are any of these running backs really worth drafting the first this year? NFL draft, hell to the no. In one quarterback dynasty leagues, possibly you have Jonathan Brooks or Trey Benson getting up there, depending on draft capital and landing spot. Super flex here, I mean, no running back goes inside the first round. You have 7 wide receivers before the first running back, which in my mind's about how it should be. So regardless of if it's the NFL draft or your dynasty rookie draft, I'd say no, I don't think any running back's going to be going round 1. I mean, it's just a horrible running back class. Obviously, we're not breaking news to anybody here. Like I made the video last week that this is already the cheapest running back class we've ever seen. So at least since I dated that back over the past 10 years, maybe previous to 10 years, I'm not gonna be able to help you out too much, but okay. Ricky goes, this is someone that can end up going inside the top 2 rounds of the NFL draft, that wide receiver. I mean, if you go as a second round pick in the NFL draft, or I mean, worst case scenario, a third, getting him here in the middle of the third of a dynasty rookie draft, I don't think it's bad at all. Okay. Jalen McMillan. So if you're looking at a couple of these Washington wide receivers, I mean, these are guys that are just so hard to evaluate on paper because they played alongside Rome. You just really got to buy into what the film guys are saying. You have to buy into what you're going to see with the NFL draft. Both right now project out to be day 2 picks going in round 3, at least from a lot of different sources. Of course, they may go round 2, maybe they go round 4, maybe they go round 5. We just don't necessarily know at this point. Brennan Rice off the board, 310. We may make a pick that y'all are going to hate. Okay. Johnny Wilson off the board, 311. Johnny Wilson was the guy that we were going to look at here. Spencer Rattler goes 312. Will Shipley didn't really do anything today. Are we excited about any of these guys? Do we just take a shot on a tight end that maybe, just maybe? Oh, dear God, Mason. We're going to take a tight end that projects out right now where you can go day 2 of the NFL draft. Can hopefully step into having some kind of role. Let me look up mock draft database. Did I just completely waste a pick here? Yeah, right now he is projected to go day 2. He goes day 2. At least he may have a path to an NFL role. McCaffrey off the board, 404. I mean, you may just have to do it if you have CMC. Okay. Yeah, Stover has a decent RAS score here. Obviously, athleticism for the tight end position is going to matter just so freaking much. I mean, based off what we've historically seen, if you are chasing guys that have upside at tight ends. Now, I'm going to, like I said, update my one quarterback and my super flex prospect rankings tonight on flogfantasy.com. I'm also going to be getting y'all a video probably tomorrow with the winners, maybe on Monday with the losers. I don't know exactly how we're going to break up the videos just yet, but we'll be making videos in the next few days about what just happened with the NFL Combine. I'm about to dive into everything, update our rankings on the site. Thank you again for everybody who hung out with us today. I really hope that y'all had a fun time, at least learning a little bit more about these prospects with the Combine. Obviously, the risers right now look to be the Texas Longhorn wide receivers. I mean, you have a couple players that look to now, at least at this price point, like the running back going at the 2.8, probably are just undraftable. And we'll be diving into that. And it's always a good video if it's titled, "This Player Has No Shot." That way, y'all can go back and make fun of me 6 months from now when he's the running back 1 in fantasy. But I think that's all I have for you. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you had a great day. Hope we get to see you out with the video tomorrow. And of course, you want to get access to all my Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings. If you want to get yours truly to break down your Dynasty Fantasy Football team in a podcast. If you want to get access to our Dynasty Trade Calculator, all the premium content for all your favorite creators, flogfantasy.com. Use code FLOG. You get all that, plus 30% off the subscription and a free week trial. That's all I got for you. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And hope we get to see you out with the video tomorrow.